Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pain, Ranting Monkey, who is currently away from his microphone. Oh, you were gone. I was just going to say you were off going to the bathroom or something.
No, I'm here.
Okay, well.
I made it back just as you were announcing me.
Just in time. And the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
What up, no?
And I'm your host, Scribe, the Lord of Punishment. Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is having a good Friday and you have a good weekend ahead of you. So my voice doesn't fail me. Programming note, I've already experienced some power outages earlier today, not in the recent couple hours, but if I suddenly disappear, that might be the culprit. Depending on the circumstances, I'll get back as soon as I can, but just as a warning. Beyond that, yeah, I don't know. Satsu, how are you doing?
Just having a lot of laughs today. There's a lot of stuff going on today that people are losing their collective shit over, and it is hilarious.
Yeah, we'll be covering some of that tonight, I'm pretty sure. Monkey, how are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Yourself?
Like I mentioned before the stream, I had a very busy day, but it was not chaotic, and everything that I needed to get done on time got done on time, and so my month end was relatively painless. I still have to log into work tomorrow to get some stuff done for the final billing, but that's probably not going to be too taxing. So, yeah, it was a fairly good day, all things considered. Let's see. Are you guys gaming tonight?
Yes, we should be back to Dark Souls tonight.
Dark Souls 2. Killing yourself, Boogaloo. Wait, that's a bad word now, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
I thought I read somewhere that like, you know, the old thing, it's like Hoover 2, hydroelectric Boogaloo, something like that. That word Boogaloo is now apparently a bad word, like it's a racist word.
Of course it is.
I'm sure.
That's what I'm told, guys. So, but these things change every day, so who knows? Because, you know, savage is bad. But anyway, Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies. Sorry, movies. Sorry, yeah. My brain just took a leap. Let me try that again. Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games. Hit that like button if you have not already. And many of you haven't. And please share our stuff for no other reason than because apparently I'm having a senior moment doing something that I do at least 2 times a week of my own accord. So anything else to talk about before we get into... Oh, we have a happy birthday.
Who has a birthday? Oh, Brenda.
Brenda Free? Is it Free or Fry?
I would say Fry on that one.
You think Fry?
But never go with my pronunciation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll just stick with Brenda. That's the safest place to go, unless that's pronounced oddly like Brienda or something. Brenda?
Briende.
Briende. All right.
Brenda, it's your birthday, and around here we do this. This one's yours. I hope you like it. And a 1. And a 2. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, I'm too sleepy for this shit.
Happy birthday to you.
This should wake me up, though.
Happy birthday, dear Brenda.
Yeah, happy birthday and all that good shit.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Brenda. And she did confirm it is Fry. Happy birthday. I hope you had a great one. I really, really do.
All right. Well, then, let's get right into the disappointment. At least if you're on a particular side of the aisle, apparently. So, the big question today was, were the senators going to vote yay or nay on allowing witnesses to appear during the impeachment trial? I started watching the coverage at 10 a.m. my time, 1 p.m. their time, and the House manager started talking. And they were up there, and it was kind of sad because once again, they were just begging and begging and begging for someone to give them the chance to make up for what they didn't do, and they should have done it back in the hearings.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of that came breaking news, because the big thing was, okay, well, we heard that Lamar Alexander was going to vote no on witnesses. So it really came down to, is this going to end up being a tie? There's only a couple of key senators left. And in the middle of them begging for John Bolton to be allowed to testify, Lisa Murkowski announced that she would be voting no, which basically made it a 51-49 and dashed all hopes of there being any more witnesses. But this happened in the middle of them talking, and so I remember tweeting out, I said, I wonder if any of them know that Murkowski's announced that she's voting no, because basically they're up there wasting their time now. But either way, it was interesting listening to them, because at several points, I forget who it was, I think it was Crow who was up there, and he kept referring to the leaked portions of an unfinished manuscript from Bolton as, quote unquote, his testimony.
Yes.
And I'm like, dude, it's not testimony. I mean, I know I'm nitpicking here, but it is an unreleased manuscript for a book that hasn't even been published yet. And what you assume he's going to say, you call testimony. And
Give a couple of super chats.
Yeah, I know. Hang on a second. And the other thing too was the constant refrain of, we need a fair trial. We need a fair trial. And like we said before, a fair trial is for the defendant. The accused, not for the prosecution to get a second bite at the apple after they already offered their case up. Thank you, Snubbirth. Failed impeachment and Brexit. Suicide hotlines are busy today. Oh, boy. Also, thank you, YouTube, for once again not showing me all the super chats. I don't know why those do not transcend whatever chat type you're on, but apparently they don't. And thank you, Non-Vitae Rex, for game over, Hippo. Is that like what you put out there when Hungry Hungry Hippo is over with?
I would think so.
Does anybody play Hungry Hungry Hippo anymore?
That is one of Little Butt's favorite games.
Is it? Okay, good. Yeah, I always got I always heard from parents like, oh, the marbles are choking hazards. And I'm like, well, then don't give it to a kid that doesn't know not to eat them. Man,
I don't know how we can talk about this without bringing up fucketry. Because
Hungry Hungry Hippos? Damn, dude, what was your day like?
No, I'll talk about the decision or whatever.
Oh, I'm completely open. You let's just make it a free for all. I mean, there's not. Just in brief, there will be no witnesses. The acquittal, which is now inevitable, is going to take place, they say, Wednesday next week, which seems a little like, there's that whole. Aren't we going to do the State of the Union isn't it on the Tuesday?
State of the Union's Tuesday, yes.
Yeah, so they're going to do the State of the Union before the official acquittal vote, which seems a little awkward. But I guess since it's essentially going to happen now, it doesn't really matter. I'm assuming the White House wanted it done before the State of the Union, but
I'm sorry. Because of the way officially the senators each get 15 minutes to make a statement.
Right.
And 15 times 100 is a lot of minutes.
Yep.
I'm not sure how many minutes exactly that is. And I'm wondering if dragging it out till Wednesday was actually a behind the scenes thing to kind of push it on a little faster. I don't know if they're all going to still get to talk or if they're all going to take the time to talk. But yeah, it was a little weird that like, yeah, we're going to do it Wednesday.
Yep. So there will be closing statements on Monday. And then Tuesday is essentially set aside basically for all the pomp and circumstance of the State of the Union. And then 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday will be the vote on the articles of impeachment. And there will be no session tomorrow on Saturday. So that is the long and the short of it. But to supplement all that, Satsu, what kind of fucketry regarding the impeachment have you seen today?
Oh, boy. Well, the one hottest take, I think, of all is imagine holding a trial without any witnesses. And I'm just like, they had plenty of time to do that before they forced force through the articles of impeachment. And I was trying to explain it to this one dude on Facebook, and I'm like, it's basically the equivalent of you got a book report that you need to turn in, but for whatever reason, you can't get the info from the website to do the book report. So you turn it in half-assed and try to make your teacher go to the website and get it for you so you can finish it. And I'm just like, that's not how that works. Like, you have time. You had time. You could have gotten it beforehand. And everybody's just like, they won't allow evidence to be shown. Like, that's not true. That's really not true. So many people are saying they won't allow us to see the evidence. Like, all right. Oh boy. And Bernie Sanders, his little thing today, where he was like, it was a sham hearing, and we have a government that won't allow us to view what the evidence is, and Trump won't be acquitted. That's the new narrative too. He's not, like, this acquittal won't be an actual acquittal. Like, that's the new thing also. It's not really an acquittal because Trump cheated, because we didn't get all the information we needed. So it's been fun bouncing back. There are more specific takes, but I'll save that for actual fucketry time.
Go ahead. Oh, I thought Monkey, you were going to say something.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I was going to say something, and then my train of thought got derailed because that's just the way my brain works. Okay, well, anyway, if I think of it again, then I will say it again. But so there's the impeachment. We'll cover other things at fucketry time. There is other things going on in the world. Coronavirus.
Yes.
We now have a new travel ban. The U.S. is imposing a travel ban on foreign nationals who have been in China in the past 14 days.
That's
so
racist as fuck.
Yeah, you can't. If you're coming to here from China, you're not coming in.
Wow.
And that's just what it is, because the latest is at least 258 people are dead and more than 10,000 cases have been confirmed in mainland China as the virus spreads globally. Let's see, nearly 60 million people have been under partial or full lockdown in Chinese cities for a week. Several countries are sending planes to evacuate foreign citizens under lockdown in Wuhan. And it was announced that a vaccine, or the trial tests of a vaccine for this coronavirus, will be ready, they say, in 3 months. So by then we'll have 90,000 cases and probably like 500 people dead or something. I guess. I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out there. That seems like a quick time to turn around for a vaccine, but then again, I don't know how these things usually go. Thank you, Snub Earth. Excuse me. Here in Illinois, we have 2 confirmed cases now. Yes, there was a woman who traveled from Wuhan, and then her husband caught it from her, apparently. So it was one of the first cases of a human-to-human transfer of it, which isn't good. As I understand it, she's 60, and he's in that same range. So they're in the demographic most vulnerable to it, next to children or people with weak immune systems. So thank you. Next 6 minutes. Travel ban, but China doesn't have brown Muslims. Oh.
Well, it does, but they're in concentration camps.
Yeah.
Do you think she passed it to him through sex?
Do you like to imagine that she did?
I'm just wondering.
No. Do you like to imagine that she did?
I don't dislike to imagine it.
All right.
I mean, old people can have love.
They can have love.
Have love.
They can't have dirty, nasty get down.
Oh, they're old. They can't move that fast. You just kind of lay on her and rock a little bit.
The mature section of Pornhub would disagree.
Oh God! Oh, granny porn. God, there was this sound effect or audio that they used from some kind of granny porn on Howard Stern back in the day, and I couldn't recreate it here to save my life, and I wouldn't if I could. But oh man, it was hilarious. Anyway, yeah. So impeachment is pretty much done. Coronavirus is still ongoing. but there's a vaccine on the way. It's going to be interesting to see. So the coronavirus so far is very communicable, but it's still at a lower threshold of communicability and death than the common flu is on any given year. Because the common flu spreads like 14 million people a year, basically, and its death rate is like 5%. So far, coronavirus is about 2%. And this is me just being morbidly accurate here. I'm not happy about the fact that people are dying or getting sick or anything. So, but it is a pandemic. It's a new virus and that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how prepared we are for something that could be more serious in the future. Because the test was SARS and that didn't seem to do that bad, but this one catches pretty quick. So it's kind of interesting to see whether or not our contingency plans are going to be able to handle it.
With the comparisons to the flu, though, it's also got to be the time frame of spread is because the flu, there's more people per season, but the season's a bit longer than just the couple of days that we've had the coronavirus out here with us.
Well, it's been sitting in China for like a month, but nobody was doing anything about it. So,
and I get what you're saying there, but I mean, it blew from the time it actually started passing. I mean, we went from was it like 150? The next day was 300. The next day was 6, then 8, then 1,000. Then we were up to 3,000, 6,000, 8,000. Now we're at 10. And that expansion has been in 2 weeks. So that's where, I mean, yeah, the common cold does hit more people, but not that fast.
Well, and I also think of the population density and the not exactly great healthcare in China to begin with. So yeah, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be concerned about this. I'm just saying that I'm not, doom saying as a lot of other people are saying, oh, this is the end of the world or something.
Oh no, I'm with you on that. There's a lot of people like, it's good. Yeah, you need to get a bunker. No, you don't. You're okay.
Yes, and we'll be fine. Jesus.
The Dead Kaiser says, Scribe Light, did you see what I said? No?
Just now? Yeah. I just read it.
I mean, just as a note, I do have the window open with the chat, but when I'm doing the news, my eyes are over on the other side of the screen because I don't have two screens, but anything else. So if there's something you want to say, just say it. Don't ask me if I've seen it because I won't have because it'll scroll up. And usually chat time at the end of the show is when we pay attention to chat more. Not that I don't pay attention at all, but I'm the one always reading the news. So, whatever.
Can I address chat real fast?
No.
Well, Satsu spoke for me. Thank you, Satsu.
In chat, they said, Monkey, you can't trust the numbers. I'm just, even if we go by the official numbers, say you can't trust them, that's fine. Even going by them, the spread is a lot faster than anything that I've seen it compared to so far, which is what I think is why everybody is panicking. But calm down. Just wait.
All right. So the other big news today, holy cow. So for Trump is essentially off the hook as far as the charges are concerned. He might also be off the hook, if you know what I mean. But Brexit actually happened.
Yay.
The UK is no longer in the EU officially, perpetually, and probably forever. And it finally happened. It only took when was the referendum? 2 years ago? 2.5, something like that.
Took a long ass time is my time frame.
Yeah, and it's gone by
3 years.
Yeah, three or four different proposed deadlines and negotiations and 2 prime ministers and finally it's happened. There was a big moment of them ceremoniously removing the British flag from the line of flags of the EU and folding it up and walking away. It was. I know Tailed Feature was very happy. I wanted to see if he would come on tonight. But he was, it's too late there and he's got to work. So I wanted to have him on to have him celebrate, but oh well, maybe next time. So let's read the story about it. Brexit has happened after 1,316 days of political turmoil. The UK now stands alone as the first nation to have ever left the European Union. It has ended the careers of 2 prime ministers and left the very future of the United Kingdom in question. Scotland's case for independence is becoming harder to ignore, while Britain's perceived selling out of Northern Ireland has played into the hands of those wishing to see Irish unification. Oh my gosh, could we see Britain or the United Kingdom not be the United Kingdom anymore?
Theoretically, sure.
The nation of Scotland, the nation of Ireland. Oh my gosh. That's just the politics. Britain's economic future and place in the world have not been this uncertain since the end of World War II. I think they'll survive. I have a feeling that the economies of the rest of the world and Britain will still do business with one another. I just have a feeling. Because, they were doing that before the EU. They'll probably do it after. Just saying. Speaking to the nation an hour before Brexit finally happened, Prime Minister Boris Johnson acknowledged that the country was divided. Quote, "For many people, this is an astonishing moment of hope, a moment they thought would never come. And there are many, of course, who feel a sense of anxiety and loss. I understand all those feelings. And our job as the government, my job, is to bring this country together now and take us forward," unquote. Johnson has political capital to spend. His election landslide last year means he has the power to start rebuilding the UK in his own image. Now that is a horrifying thought. Because Boris Johnson is a slobbly looking man. Although he can speak ancient Greek apparently perfectly. Did you see that video?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was... Now, again, I don't speak ancient Greek, so I can't tell you if he was being accurate, but I was impressed.
I thought that was Latin.
Was it Latin? I thought it was ancient Greek. Because it was he was like reciting the Odyssey, I think. Anyway, somebody will correct me or you, one of the two. It also means he can remold the country's position on the international stage, and in a world of shifting geopolitics, whatever path Johnson decides to walk will have implications beyond Britain's borders. Really? Thank you, Captain. Did Harry Enton write this? No. Okay. The key question that needs answering in the next 11 months, will the UK stick with its European neighbors and their multilateral view of the world, or will it drift across the Atlantic and team up with an increasingly confrontational American foreign policy? Yeah, an American foreign policy that's been so confrontational, we've only ever acted in response to things that happened to us. Oh, also, we talked to North Korea. Why 11 months? Because according to the deal Britain signed with the EU, this Brexit transition period ends on December 31st, and whatever deal the two parties have reached on their future relationship, if any, kicks in. Thank you, Cody Fry. Congrats to Britain. Yes. It was morbidly entertaining to watch ever since the referendum, which they put out there thinking it would fail and they could move on with their lives. And it actually passed. And then they had to just scramble and fall over themselves trying to adhere to their own system of government and try to defy the people this whole time. It was amazing to watch. It's one of those things that's like you see the curtain pulled back and you find out, like, is it really the Wizard of Oz, or is there like just a guy behind there? And I'm glad it finally happened, because it was stupid that it took this long and that so many people fought to try to void the will of the people over there. But anyway, I should try to get like Bear and Tailed on at the same time for a familiar with the matter and see what they have to say about it or something. Because that's a big deal. That's a historic moment. Anything else on that one?
No. I spent my day watching. I had forgotten all about that. We talked about it earlier this morning, but yeah, congrats, guys. Now that you've tasted freedom, you'll really like it.
Yeah, now you kind of know how we felt way back in the day, without that whole war thing, Now, the last one I've got. This came across my Twitter feed, and I've only read the caption essentially of the article, but if that tells me everything I need to know about the core of the article, this is probably one of the most mind-boggling things I've ever read in the course of criminal justice in this world, especially in the Western world, especially in Canada, but maybe not so much. Let's see. Sex worker killed after paroled murderer allowed to satisfy, quote, sexual needs, unquote.
I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Well, you're about to find out. A convicted killer who was out on parole and given permission to satiate his sexual needs has been charged with the murder of a sex worker. Marilyn Levesque, I don't know how to say that, 22, was found dead at a hotel in Quebec City's Sainte-Foy district on Friday. According to several news reports, the erotic massage parlor that employed Levesque allegedly banned Estacio Galice, 51, after he had behaved violently with several masseuses. Levesque reportedly agreed to meet him at the hotel instead. Galice turned himself in to the local police on January 23rd. Police found Levesque's body shortly after. Galice was charged with second-degree murder and detained on Friday. His court date is set for February 26th. Originally given a life sentence for killing his partner, Chantal Duchesne, in 2004, by beating her with a hammer and stabbing her, Galice gradually gained limited freedom for good behavior. Canada's parole board downgraded Galice's risk of offending from high to moderate to low to moderate last year and granted him day parole at a halfway house in March. The board extended his day parole for another 6 months in September. Galice had a history of abuse. He apparently assaulted his ex-wife, whom he lived with before he met Duchesne, according to a court document from his murder trial. According to the parole board's latest written decision, obtained by Vice and translated from French, Galice brought up relationships with women during a discussion with his caseworkers. While Galice's intimate relationships were deemed inappropriate, the decision explicitly acknowledges, quote, his sexual needs. Quote, although you are still single and you say you aren't ready to enter into a serious relationship with a woman, you are able to efficiently evaluate your needs and expectations towards women, the written summary says. Quote, during the hearing, your parole officer underlined a strategy that was developed with the goal that would allow you to meet women in order to meet your sexual needs, unquote. The decision also required Galice to report all of his relations with women. In a statement to Vice, Julia Papa, a spokesperson from the parole board, said it uses, quote, a wide range of information in assessing an offender's risk to reoffend, unquote, but did not say specifically whether libido has been considered in previous cases for male or female offenders. Quote, public safety is a primary consideration in all parole board of Canada conditional release decisions, Papa said. Last week, Quebec Minister of Justice Sonia Lebel said she wanted to know how a violent offender like Galice was granted parole. She also questioned whether Galice's caseworkers had sufficient training to evaluate public safety risks and urged federal public safety minister Bill Blair to investigate the situation. So, hey guys, I know that I killed my wife with a hammer and a knife, but a guy's got needs.
Man, sometimes you got bust a nut after you kill your wife.
Maybe he misunderstood the term nailed her.
Oh, Satsu. No.
What? I mean, it's very possible.
I know. That story is you got to be kidding me. Really, I need to get laid is sufficient excuse to give a guy a day pass who's a violent murderer.
Science.
Canada, you are far, far too polite.
Apparently, we aren't polite enough.
I guess. I mean, we need to adopt the Canada model, I suppose, here, because fairness, justice, something. Anyway, that was a disturbing story. Just thought I'd share.
Yeah, that one's out there.
Yeah. But with that, we're at the bottom of the hour, which means it's MSS News time, and my lights just flickered slightly.
Oh.
So, again, guys, if I suddenly disappear, that might be why. We will wait and see. But until then, if you have a news story you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise to get to them all, but that's because I might lose power. Possibly. We'll see. Let's see. Jedi Ghost Bear says it's an essay. Don't know if it'll work for the show. I will take a brief look. Oh, yeah, that is an essay, and now my phone is beeping at me per usual. This is the regular time. Do I have to leave anyway? No. Good. Yeah, I think that's a bit too much of a word wall for me to tackle right now. So sorry, Jedi Ghost Bear. Move on to, oh boy, Frosted Glass and an article from Medium. Of course. Some insulting things a lot of white people do.
What?
That is the headline. All right, I'm curious to know what I do that this person I've never met knows about me. This is the author talking. I compiled a list of some annoying, creepy, inconsiderate, insulting, and or disrespectful, disrespectful things some white people do, which stresses me and other black people out. Some. How many is some? I understand many of these things on my list aren't necessarily intentional. Oh, we're talking about microaggressions. But the intent of the actions don't matter. I'm going to read that again. I understand many of these things on my list aren't necessarily intentional, but the intent of the actions don't matter. The perception does. Your intentions can injure.
Oh, boy.
Practice doing no harm. Say not all white people. This is number one. Say not all white people. I know. We're not blaming all white people where we say white people. Where we say, what you mean when? Okay. ... No. It's either 3 for an ellipses or 1 for ending a sentence. There's not a 2 dot version. I'm sorry. Maybe that's too white of me. I'm not talking about all white people, just the white people who do the uncomfortable and embarrassing stuff on this list and those who continue to believe they aren't racist.
Yeah, okay.
Author, I would like to point you to the title of your piece. And tell me again about people who believe they aren't racist. Hijacking movements. Okay. This is the author talking. I'm not even going there. Period. Yes, I am. Period. Okay. The civil rights movement protected blacks, but was hijacked by white women who dragged in everything they cared about to ensure they protected it. Now everything is centered on white women. Everything. Black Lives Matter was to address Black Lives Mattering. Y'all took that and created All Lives Matter because God forbid we try to bring attention to ourselves, diverting attention from white people. Hashtag Me Too was for black girls being sexually abused. You think you took that from us and made it about white women. Can we have something, please?
No.
Civil rights are everyone's rights, and not just black women get abused by people.
Yes, they do, Scribe.
No,
Spreading these lies.
Locking the doors when black people walk by your cars. Okay, I'm just going to go down the list here. Thank you, Nyala. Scribe, I hate you sharing my moose money with HateTube, but I love you. So here's some fake money so you keep entertaining me. Well, thank you, Nyala. Now, I've said it before, and I appreciate it very much. I've said it before, and I know it's not a very popular opinion, but for everything that is legitimately said in critiquing YouTube, this is still free in the sense that we don't have to pay for the infrastructure that allows us to broadcast, to post videos, and so on. So if I end up, sideways paying rent in order to continue to do this. I don't feel that bad because fundamentally, we wouldn't be able to do this without it. And I do appreciate it, even if I don't necessarily feel in love with the company that provides it. So that's been my explanation. I know a lot of people want me to get a Streamlabs. I'm still trying to figure out if I can make it safe so it's not giving out my personal information when somebody gives me a donation. Thank you, Ebony Williams. Here's some money to stop being a bigot. I can't. I don't agree with everybody on everything. So I'm always going to be a bigot to somebody.
That's right. And that's the actual real lesson here is you're a bigot no matter what.
Nyla says, thank you again, Nyla. I just want you to have all of my love, but I get it. Oh, Nyla, you're just the best type of creepy. And thank you, Gunsky, with a boxing pair? No, I don't know if that's a pair. What is that? I think it looks like it's boxing gloves on a runt pair.
I think that is still the pair.
Okay, I'm going to say runt pair. I think that's funnier. I'll zip down through some of these more. Clutching your purses when I walk by. Not moving on the sidewalk. Okay. Blocking aisles in stores.
I'm with you on that one, but I don't think that's racist. They do that to us honkies too.
Not moving when I say excuse me.
Not what I tell you to do.
Yeah, act like our saviors on the interweb.
You mean the thing that you literally tell white people that they have to do with their privilege?
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly told that not only do I have to use my privilege to elevate the voices of people of color, but that I have to be a good ally by getting behind movements, not pushing my way to the front. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I am told. And since, slacktivism takes place mainly on the internet, anyway. Closing doors in my face. Oh,
that's just rude.
Do you mean that literally, or do you mean that like glass ceiling type stuff? Show their children anything non-white is bad/strange.
Wait a minute. I get the bad, but why the strange?
Don't listen, can't hear either. I don't know what that means, but she says self-explanatory. You don't listen to anyone except white people, even if they are wrong, because you only respect the voices and views of white people.
I don't.
Well, I'm free of that one. Rewrite history. Yes, only white people try to rewrite history, guys. Just so you know, it's never happened before with anyone else in history itself or in current day. Talk to us disrespectfully online. That's all. That's all that online is for, to talk disrespectfly to one another. Yeah. Do you even Twitter, bro?
They're only allowed to do that.
All right, this goes on for like 9 more pages. I'm done. I'm not going to go over all these.
There is some stuff in there that's got some validity to it, but making it about white people isn't right. There's a lot of that. Like, look, speaking disrespectfully online. I know people of all varieties that do that. So is it only when
article most likely does that?
No shit. So is it only when white people do it that it's not okay?
Yeah. I wouldn't dare try to read this person's mind. I don't think I'd ever get out. Thank you, Snubbirth. Is this satire? I'm waiting for Stop Breathing. You tell me. I just sent Sinatra wanted the link. I have a feeling a video is oncoming, so watch out for that. And thank you, Sir Wolfgang. We was Kangs. Yep. Moving on after all that. This one comes from Senior Staff Reporter and Chief Florida Correspondent Colleen Byrne. Yay. It's a happy story, or at least not a outright ridiculous story. Well, it's a ridiculous story. And I have an ad that pops up. Thank you, UPI. World's largest toothpaste collection tops 3,000 tubes.
But
A Georgia dentist who holds the Guinness World Record for the largest collection of toothpaste says his collection has grown to about 3,000 tubes. It's a series of tubes. Dr. Val Kolpakov, yeah, or Kolpakov of Peach State Dentistry in Alpharetta said his toothpaste collection began when he was trying for a very different Guinness record, the largest collection of pulled teeth. Quote, when I started my dental career, I was pulling hundreds of teeth. Then I remembered there was a Guinness record for number of teeth pulled. I started looking online for that record, and I could not find it. Kolpakov said he still has his collection of hundreds of extracted teeth because he's a fucking ghoul. Oh, sorry, I added that. But he ended up finding more information on toothpaste collecting and decided to change his focus. Quote, instead, I came across information about toothpaste collecting, and I thought, hey, I would love to collect toothpaste because it's much more exciting.
yeah,
Okay.
toothpaste collect up. All right.
Okay. Entertainment's where you find it. He was first awarded the record in 2012 when his collection stood at 2,037 different tubes, but he said the number has since grown by more than 1,000. Thus the 3,000 number. Quote, we tried to convert our office to sort of a dental museum, he said. All my patients, they're pretty excited when I show them some unusual flavors that I have. And if they travel to certain countries, they bring me toothpaste from there. Okay.
For the tooth collection, was he like against a British guy?
Wow.
I'm just wondering.
You got to be careful now. They're independent now, Monkey.
They still can't take us.
Yeah, I know. They totally can't take us now. Okay, that's not a tweet to us. That's from Betty White. A promotion of Betty White. For a second, I thought Betty White sends us a story. No. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. If that's his idea of exciting, I'd hate to be in the room when the shit hits the fan. Yeah. Is this true? Okay. This one comes from Shrouded Angel. It's from The Mirror in the UK. If it'll come up here. If the caption was any indication, this is going to be funny to read. Harvey Weinstein accuser claims he has, quote, no testicles and appears to have a vagina, unquote.
What?
Okay. One of Harvey Weinstein's rape accusers have claimed he has no testicles and, quote, appears to have a vagina, unquote, in court today. Jessica Mann made the bombshell allegations as she accused the disgraced film producer of forcing her into oral sex and raping her in 2013. In her testimony on Friday, Mann described how she thought Weinstein was, quote, physically deformed or intersex, unquote, when she saw him naked, claiming he does not have testicles and his male sex organ looks like a vagina.
So did she just admit that she licked?
I feel like we would have heard this by now.
The aspiring actress, 34, tearfully opened up at Manhattan Supreme Court at Weinstein's rape and sex assault trial. Supreme. Oh, that's right. In New York, they call it's not the Supreme Court, and they name it differently. Most places like the Superior Court.
Yeah.
In New York, they call their the level of court that would be superior. Most other places they call supreme, but I don't know what they call the Supreme Court in New York State. I assume it's the Supreme Court of New York. Anyway.
Real quick, I got a Streamlabs earlier from Dixon. I think it was regards to the corona. He said, I want 5 billion dead. I've seen 12 monkeys. I know how this ends.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 12 Monkeys. Such a great movie.
Thank you, by the way.
Even if it was a remake. Thank you, Adabisi. He's intersex. He's innocent. Yeah, and he's part of that very protected minority, if this is correct. Let's see. Yeah, she says, the first time I saw him fully naked, I thought he was deformed and intersex. He has extreme scarring that I didn't know if maybe he was a burn victim. He does not have testicles, and it appears like he has a vagina. Okay. When asked about Weinstein's hygiene, Mann said, quote, "It was very bad. He smelled like shit. Excuse me, sorry, like poop. He was just dirty," unquote.
Did you get the job?
So Weinstein smells like poop and has a vagina. Okay. That's images I didn't really need, but we have them now. Let's see. Who's next? This one comes from Pinkalo, the Driving Ape Man. Looks like another Canada story, maybe. I can't tell. We have Toronto Sun. Shame on Pride. Why some don't want Peter MacKay to march. What? I don't know who Peter MacKay is. I assume it's a Canadian thing. Oh, no, it's a link to a video, which I can't show. So it's someone's commentary about Pride and someone named Peter MacKay. Sorry, Pinkalo, I don't have any reference and there's no story attached to this, so I'll just have to... I'll put it in the chat in case people want to go watch the video for themselves, I guess. Thank you, Sanguine. Nah, he's just fat and has turtle dick. It happens with some sufficiently fat and woefully cursed with a pair of Tic Tacs stacked with Y's.
I'm still saying that's just some... I get to take a shot at him.
Yeah.
Because we would have heard by now.
Yeah. And then also, so the problem is, once she does something like that, if no one else has ever said anything like that, it doesn't help things. Maybe she feels better, but it actually damages her credibility as a witness.
Yep.
And it also damages her credibility for motive for being on the stand and for making the accusation. So if she was just doing that as a cheap shot and there's no other corroboration on that claim, she's kind of helped Weinstein, sort of. I don't know if she's telling the truth or not. I don't know if any other witnesses have described something similar, but if she's the only one and it just sounds like someone being spiteful, that doesn't help anything, actually.
I feel like if that had been around at all, that they wouldn't have said bombshell new claim.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, sweetheart. I get it. If you really do believe that he sexually assaulted you and all that that you want to take a shot at him, but yeah, I'm with you, Scribe. I don't think that helps anything.
It doesn't. Chicago Mike sends us this one. White House has issued a formal threat to Bolton to keep him from publishing book.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and not having read this, I think I saw something earlier today, but unless they know there is classified material in there or something that they're going to claim as executive privilege, they can't really stop him from publishing a book because he's just a citizen now. Let's find out. The White House has issued a formal threat to the former National Security Advisor John Bolton to keep him from publishing his book, The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir. Sources familiar with the matter tell CNN. In a letter to Bolton's lawyer, a top official at the National Security Council wrote the unpublished manuscript of Bolton's book, quote, appears to contain significant amounts of classified information and couldn't be published as written. The letter, which is dated January 23rd, said some of the information was classified at the top secret level, meaning it, quote, reasonably could be expected to cause exceptionally grave harm to the national security, unquote. And, quote again, the manuscript may not be published or otherwise disclosed without the deletion of this classified information, the letter said. The White House had no comment. Neither Bolton nor a spokesman for the publisher, Simon & Schuster, responded to a request for comment. Okay, well, if he does have that in his book, we're never going to see it, at least not that information. I just wonder if they're going to classify the phone call as classified when the transcript's been released. Because that really is the meat of the matter.
I saw a report, I want to say yesterday, about this, where there was, it's not just about the phone call, but apparently he's telling all kinds of stuff he's not supposed to be talking about.
Interesting. I mean, the most I've heard about is what's been cited or quoted from news stories on the Senate floor by the managers who
Oh, yeah, they love this book.
Oh, yeah, they love this book that doesn't exist yet and call what newspapers are reporting an unpublished manuscript says as Bolton's testimony. And yeah, I really got to wonder, as I was listening to them complaining about not having witnesses, I wonder if Justice Roberts, who has overseen real court cases before in the past, was sitting there going like, I really be curious to know what his opinion is of the performance of both sides in this case, you know, as a judge, even though it's not technically a criminal case, just their methods, the quality of their arguments, or how they base their presentations on. I'm just curious to know if he thinks that one or both sides are just full of shit all over the place.
I don't know how he couldn't.
Yeah. And another thing that always kept coming up in my head as I was watching this play out is the word burden. The burden of proof is on the prosecution.
Yep.
The burden of proof is not on the jury. It's not on the defense.
Nope.
And yet, at every turn, the House managers were trying to put the burden of proof on anyone but themselves. And I'm pretty sure that was called out at some point. Probably I wasn't watching the whole thing, but it was just bizarre to me the entire time. And again, if they had gone all the way and gone to the courts and gotten all the information they had, maybe they could have built a case that would have overcome political loyalty. I will never know, but the fact that they didn't, and that this is what they showed up with, and they kept asking for more chances to try again. Like I say before, whether they had a good case or not, or would have had a better case otherwise, this is the case you brought. This is the one you have to make. If you didn't do enough, that's your problem.
Well, to your point there, I didn't see anybody bring it up. The last time I saw that actually brought up was Jim Jordan in the House. It was weird during one of the breaks. I think it was the break between the House managers, because the House managers rested for a second, and then the president's lawyers did their final, and then the House managers went again. Between the House managers and the president's lawyers, there was actually a group of House members who went to that mic in the Senate that they have set up for the senators to give speeches to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Jim Jordan was there, and he brought it up again, but he's the only one I've seen who did it.
Yeah. I mean, they kept talking about a fair trial, and no other trial in the country works like this. I was like, you're right. No other trial works like that in the country, where the prosecution is begging the jury to allow them to bring up witnesses they didn't bother to call. You're right. Where the burden of proof is anybody but the prosecution's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'll do one more here, and then we'll wrap it up. And given the video I just did on Chris Cillizza, this is amazing. This one comes from another monotream. HBO teams with CNN's Brian Stelter for a documentary about the rise of fake news. Well, they went to an expert.
They did indeed.
Just a week after news broke about CNN settling a massive lawsuit over its fake news coverage of Covington Catholic High School student Nick Sandman, Warner Media announced Wednesday that CNN's Reliable Sources host, Brian Stelter, is making a documentary about the rise of fake news that will debut in March on HBO. I am going to do a commentary track for this. I am so going to do a commentary track for this. Oh man. After Truth, Disinformation, and the Cost of Fake News, we'll examine the phenomenon of fake news in the age of social media and the impact that the trend has on average citizens, according to a release from Warner Media, the parent company of both CNN and HBO. Brian Stelter is serving as an executive producer of the documentary, with Andrew Rossi directing. The CNN host said in a tweet Wednesday that he has been working on the project for a couple of years. Yes, by building up material to examine. No, I guess that can't be. The left-wing CNN has been one of the worst among the elite media's fake news offenders. This is from Breitbart, by the way, so now we get into the commentary part of it. CNN came under fire during the 2016 presidential election when it was revealed that the network leaked debate questions to Hillary Clinton via then-network contributor Donna Brazile. Since President Donald Trump took office, CNN has made a slew of gross journalistic missteps that have required retractions or major corrections. One of its biggest embarrassments was a 2017 report about a Russian investment fund that allegedly had ties to certain Trump officials. I actually cited that in my video, where the 3 reporters were fired and had to retract the story about it was, what was his name? The guy with the really weird name. I forget who it is now. Anyway. Yes. Anyway, that's just amazing. Brian Stelter is going to preach to us about the dangers of fake news.
Like you said, if they went to a fucking expert.
I feel honor bound now to collect all the instances of Brian Stelter doling out bullshit and just kind of doing a montage.
I'm sure there's plenty of examples.
Yeah, I think I'm. Gulf City Cult of Krill says Scaramucci is who you're thinking of. That's right. Yeah, for what my brain wanted to say Cuccinelli, but I know it wasn't Cuccinelli, so something like that. But anyway, guys, thank you for all the stories. Sorry I couldn't get into them all, but some just take up more time because, I'm white. I do horrible things.
That almost would be worth getting HBO for.
I'd like, and I think, can't you get like HBO documentaries on Hulu now? Because I have a Hulu account.
Sometimes, but I'm not sure how timely they are.
Yeah, what the turnover is.
Yeah.
I will find a way, and I will do a commentary track to that documentary. That's going to be funny. Okay, well, guys, we're going to move on to YouTube time. I'll go first because I have the shortest report. I didn't do anything today because I was working. But my latest video that actually touches upon the fake news, CNN or otherwise, is on my channel. Take a look at that. I'm still debating if I'm going to do something live this weekend. We'll see. But otherwise, that is about it. Oh, and at some point, don't know yet. Got to figure it out with Pat. But your boy Pat has started his own live streaming channel. And at some point in the relatively near future, Pat has invited me to be a guest on his show. And I look forward to that whenever that happens. As I presume the rest of my hosts have been asked to do.
Nah, man, what the hell? Pat,
Fuck,
man.
I see, because I'm special. That's why I said it the way I did.
I'm just fucking with you. He asked me. I said, yeah.
Oh. Pat, why have you forsaken me? Anyway, that's all I got. Satsu, what have you been up to?
Well, they released the official trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, that's right.
Today, and I saw it, and I'm pretty pleased with what I saw, but I'm still very skeptical about the presentation and information that they seem to be withholding. There's nothing still hasn't come up about the game being episodic, and that still kind of concerns me. I don't think that that's the way that they're going, but I'm still a little worried about if they're going to do some season pass bullshit or something. We'll see. If you want to check that video out, it's over on my channel. But to get into right into at least a little bit of fucketry that was involved with this, there was a scene in that game. Well, not really a scene, but a section of that game where, as Cloud, you had to infiltrate this it was like a brothel or whatever, because the person who was like in charge of the slums in that area, you needed to like get some information from him or some shit like that. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played. But the bottom line is you had an option to sneak in by cross-dressing.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And since they announced the idea, like just the idea of there being a remake for Final Fantasy VII, people were like, I swear to God, they better not take that part out. Like, they better keep that part in because it was hilarious then. And it's pretty hilarious. Like, if you actually go through the because you don't have to do that part. It's pretty optional. But if you go through the motions to do it, you get into some goofy shit. And it's pretty funny. And if you do all the steps right, the dude at the end actually picks you as the girl he chooses or whatever. And you're like,
No.
bitch, I'm a dude. And it's really funny. And so people have been like, this better fucking be in the game. So now that the trailer has released and they have confirmed that it is in fact in the game, there's a bunch of trans activists out there like, oh, the fucking gamer boys are going to be super pissed now that that Cloud is trans. That's what it is now. Yes.
Oh, God.
A scene in the game that these fucking assholes have never played or know nothing about, of him cross-dressing reluctantly so he can get some information, even in the trailer they displayed the fact that he was completely uncomfortable with it, but he had to do it. They're like, oh, Cloud is now trans, gamer boys. What do you think about that? And everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It was a disguise. He wasn't trans. You don't play the game, apparently.
Just like Bugs Bunny before him.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for all the hot takes about people saying that this is political. Like, you know that type of stuff where they're like, please, people, please have a problem with this. And nobody does. Like, there's not I haven't seen a single complaint of people. Like, mostly people just cheering like, oh, I'm so glad that this is in the game. They didn't take this out. But I also seen a rise of trans activists come out and say, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that if a guy puts on a dress in any context, that immediately makes him trans now? Oh, being trans must be super fucking easy, I see.
That's not at all where I was expecting you to go with that story.
It's weird, right?
Well, the reason I say that is because I expect, and I'm sure we will eventually see at least part of this, for the people to be like, oh, how dare you appropriate this from us for a joke in a video game.
Right. That's what I was expecting, that the fear was they were going to take it out because it was inherently offensive.
Yeah.
That was the fear from the actual gaming community. Like, they were concerned that they were going to take it out because it was offensive. And they were like, that's no. But it turns out that, well, at least for now, the conversation has shifted to what it is right now. And I'm sure once the scene comes out, some people are probably going to be, like, this is exploitative or whatever. But for right now, the issue is a lot of people are upset because they want gamers to be upset about a thing that they don't fully understand. And it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Fucking morons.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I mean the tripped out part is there's so many parts of that game that's pretty iconic that a lot of people remember the most or whatever. That particular section is probably the most requested to be in the game, like overall. And the moment that they confirmed it, they're like, "Oh, the gamers are gonna be pissed about this. We get representation. Haha, how do you like that shit?" And they're like, "We love it. We literally."
That just means that no matter what had happened, they would have something to complain about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of these people, I guarantee, a good number of the people who are just like, man, I can't wait to see all the pissed off gamers. Like, they ain't seen one complaint. Ain't seen one. They've already got it in their head that somewhere somebody's fuming about this. And it's just they're fucking masturbating to it. And yeah, it's fucking weird. These people are fucking weird, man. And actual trans people are getting like super pissed off at the fact that these people are assuming that this character literally just put on a dress as a disguise, and they're like, he's trans. That he belongs to our community now. He's a trans character. Just like, oh, okay, is that how that works?
Thank you, YouTube. I see a little note from Ebony Williams says, did you get my super chat? I'm like, yeah, on the other dimension of, God damn. So I was on live chat. Oh, but it only shows up on top chat. Well, why? I don't know. Sorry, Ebony. a couple minutes ago. Here's monies because it's the weekend. Thank you, Ebony. I appreciate it very much. Even if YouTube's trying to prevent me from seeing it.
That wasn't even controversial.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, that was my YouTube stuff for the day. I woke up bright and early this morning and saw that trailer, did a reaction to it and stuff, and then got on Twitter and was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is going on here?" So yeah, that was my day.
All right, Monkey, what have you been up to?
Well, lots of people joined the server and have come out to play. So thank you guys for that. I'm glad to see everybody's excited to get back into that on the ARC server. Which remember, guys, if you want to join, there's plenty of spots left. I think because I just bought whatever the minimum thing is. I think it's 25 slots. So there's lots of room for people. You can head over to either the Lords of the Night Discord or Satsu's Discord to get the information. And then I did some Monkey in the mornings. And I was really tired. And let's just say Monkey was in rare form this morning. So if you enjoy that kind of show, by all means, check that one out. And that's all I did. Oh, and tonight we'll be over on 2 Cents Plus playing some Dark Souls 2 right after this.
Dark Souls 2. When do we get a Dark Souls movie, do you think?
Oh, never. I don't think there's no story.
Do you think it'd make a good anime?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the Dead Space animated movie. That's kind of like a prequel to the game.
That shit was brutal, man.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. The second animated movie wasn't so much, but the first one was pretty good.
Terrible. First one, sorry.
The Dante's Inferno animated deal was interesting. But anyway, so fucketry time. I've got a couple. First off, I guess the bulk of mine deals with one thing I saw today. So I saw something on Facebook. I can't repeat the details for fear of identifying somebody, but this person was talking about a project they were working on, a writing project, and I was just kind of glancing over it. This is someone that I've known for many, 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 many years. I haven't talked to them in quite a while, to be truthful, and they have gone through a transformation because they were talking about this writing project they're working on. And I was just kind of glancing through it, and then I caught a weird phrase that I'd never seen before. He said he hired a sensitivity reader. Now, in all of my deep and oftentimes brain-numbing exposure to the things that we talk about, I have honestly never heard that phrase before. But in case the context clues don't tell you enough, this person I'm talking about. He's white. He wrote a story that includes non-white, non-straight characters. And while confessing the white privilege that he possesses and all the other stuff, he made sure that before he went any further with this story, that he found someone who was black, gay, and I think there was something else in there. But anyway, they were his sensitivity readers, so they could give the seal of approval that this was okay, even though he was white, to write. And I was taken aback, not only by the utter ideological transformation this person has had in the intervening years since last I talked to them, but just the notion that is apparently something that people are paid to do now. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It's just that I'd never seen something said that way before. Had you guys heard of this before?
No, but I to be honest with you, after what I saw this morning, because if you'd said that to me yesterday, Scribe, I'd be like, that's so fucking stupid. But then I saw a video of Elizabeth Warren talking about how she's going to let a 9-year-old trans person decide who her Secretary of Education is going to be.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
To make sure that it's, that the person chosen to be secretary has to have the 9-year-old trans kid's seal of approval to make sure that, you know, that they're sensitive to the issues. So
yeah.
Compared to a book, you know.
Well, I was reading. I mean, this is a relatively long post and a lot of details about the project and everything. And as I read it, and again, I can't get too deep into the details of it, but all I took away from it was here's someone who this long post was sort of a giant disclaimer, as well as sort of being informative to friends and family and such. A disclaimer that I acknowledge that I am white. I acknowledge that I am a wretched creature. I acknowledge that I have privilege that I don't deserve. I am writing something to celebrate and venerate those poor people that need their self-esteem built up by me, and I hired somebody of their kind to tell me I'm a good boy. And as I read through it, I just felt like, and of course, there's a whole bunch of people in his circle and people that I know who are all very like, good for you, man, that's great, and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, am I completely off base in reading that and just feeling sad for this person?
No.
I mean, I wasn't mad. I don't think that he shouldn't write his book or anything else, but I'm just reading this, and I use this word ironically, this progressively self-deprecating, self-destructive recitation of sin. But also, I swear I've been redeemed by the approval of this person who looks different than me. So don't be mad at me, guys. It's one of those things where, you know, we read stories like this all the time. We read articles that we laugh at and everything else. But there's always been, for me, this complete different experience when I encounter something like that from or about someone that I know personally. There's just a level of, like, I can insulate myself when I'm reading an article from somebody at the CNN or Medium or whatever, from sort of, I'm looking at some kind of fringe stuff, even though I know that's not the case anymore. But when it's like close to home like that, I'm just like, damn, dude. Thank you, Sanguine. So he paid his one friend that is a wingy little shit to read and whine about his work. Wait, with that description, that reader doesn't have friends. I don't know who the person is that he hired. I don't know what the circumstances were. But whoever they were, goes back to so many of my other videos. They were selected because of what they are, not because of who they are. And if that's not the most sanctimonious move you can make while telling everybody that that's a virtue, I don't know what is at this stage of the game. So, but anyway, that was one of the few times that I've checked in on Facebook and actually paid attention to anything on there. Otherwise, all my other fucketry is basically just making fun of the impeachment hearings and everything. There was one other thing, though. Danny Zucker, who is the executive producer on ABC's Modern Family, he posted this today on Twitter. Repeat after me. I, state your name, will work my ass off for the Democratic nominee, even if that person is not my first choice, because as any sane person can see, the alternative is the death of our democracy.
Oh, God, if I have to hear that phrase one more fucking time.
And I said, you want people to mindlessly adhere to tribalism, voting for someone not on the basis of an agreement in policy or values, but simply because they're on the opposite side of the candidate you disapprove of. Tell me again of the dangers of blind obedience to the Republican Party. You want to fight fire with fire. Okay, you do that, but you've got no place to complain later on if you try to, like, say, oh, the Republicans just lockstep, they're mindless Trump supporters. You're asking Democratic voters to be mindless supporters. That's what you're asking for. If that's what you want, I won't be surprised if you get it, given the rhetoric of the last couple of years, but it's not a good thing. It's not good when people believe it of a group and think they're a monolith. It's not good when that group actually does behave that way. So I don't know why you're demanding people to act that way.
Anybody find it strange that allowing the democratic process to take place is the death of our democracy?
Yeah, and well, the first thing I wanted to say this, but I said it to something the other day. I said, yeah, unless it's the person you prefer wins, then everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Anyway, that's all I got. Satsu, what kind of fucketry you got?
Well, so somebody put a post up that says, so far the left has trended rip GOP, GOP cowards, rip America, Senate GOP cover up, and Blue Tsunami 2020. Responded, good to see they're handling everything well. Yeah, rest in peace, America is trending still right now. These people are nuts. Yeah.
You know, every time I hear that, and I heard this stuff right after Trump was elected. Like, you know, this is the end of our country. And I'm kind of like, you know, we went through a civil war, 2 world wars, civil rights movement. We're going to survive 1 mediocre president.
And you didn't even talk about how we started.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Let's not even mention that whole like Revolutionary War, War of Independence. Let's not even talk about that. Let's just talk about what's happened since we become a country. I mean, the Civil War did not end our country. You know, hundreds of thousands of people dying did not end our country, fighting brother against brother. Donald Trump, if you want to elevate Donald Trump to a power beyond the Civil War, one of us is nuts. Anyway, sorry, I could go
on. There's another bit of fucketry that's been going around. And once again, we have an issue of perspective here, because everybody who's talking about it is talking about it from a different point of view. There's this narrative that anybody who says anything even remotely related to the people in China being kept over there so that the virus doesn't come over here or whatever, for any reason, is a racist or as Sofane said, a Christian nationalist or whatever.
Christian nationalist, yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And that's an issue on its own. But what I was focusing on is there was this narrative going around that there are some people out there who are like saying racist and disparaging things to literal just Chinese people in general, who hasn't been over in China since then or anything like that, or if they happen to see a Chinese person at all over here, just acting weird around them because they're like, oh, you got it, that type of thing or whatever. And that shit's fucked up. So I want to say, like, to the people who are doing that, cut that shit out, because you look stupid and you're making people look bad by doing the dumb shit that you're doing. Just like if, like a terrorist attack happens somewhere and a Muslim just happens to be nearby, you're like, oh shit, are they gonna kill me? It's like, no, calm the fuck down. Like, don't do that shit, because it makes you look like a racist asshole. On the other hand, though, to the people who are claiming that literally anybody who's just like, I don't want to die from the coronavirus, and they're like, well, you're a racist. Stop being fucking stupid. It'd be nice if you consider the fact that, I don't know, people don't like diseases that kill you, and they don't want them to be anywhere near where they are. So the fear that they are displaying, or the disposition they have against, people coming over from a place that has something like that, isn't automatically racism. You fucking retards. Yeah, it's just once again, just dumb people in every direction. And I'm just tossing up a universal "don't be fucking stupid" blanket and hoping that it lands on everybody.
Real quick, my lights flickered again, so just a warning.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. It's just stop it. Stop it, everybody. Just fucking stop it. You're not racist if you don't want to die from corona, and every fucking Chinese person you encounter isn't some walking plague. So don't stop being stupid. That's pretty much the other fucketry I already talked about. So, oh well, there's the Antifa thing, but I don't really know what's going on there. Does anybody actually know what's the Grand Central Antifa protest thing?
The what?
I've never even heard about it.
A giant gathering at Grand Central right now, demanding free transit in New York City and cops out of subways.
Oh God, these guys again.
It was a huge thing. There was a bunch of clips of people getting dragged away and arrested, and this one dude was getting pulled away. This Antifa dude, he's like, "My dad works for the courts."
Well, you're gonna need him.
Yeah. I don't, like I said, I don't really know what this is about. Like they did say they want free transit, and they say, I guess the cops are like harassing people. And by harassing people, and this was something we dealt with here. Where I live, where there's this train you can take that's separate from the bus system. It's still the same company, but it's like it's a train instead of a bus or whatever. And when you get on it, there is no mechanism to like swipe your ticket. Mm-hmm. So they just kind of expect you to have one. And because they don't have any system like that, every now and then at every stop, like cops will come on and they'll be checking people for their tickets. And people are like, that's so wrong. These fucking cops are so dirty. They need to just leave people alone. Why are they here harassing us or whatever? And 9 times out of 10, the people who say that are the people trying to sneak on without a ticket. And they got mad because they got caught without a ticket. And I'm like, they do this because of people like you. Like, they are literally doing this because of people like you. You're not being harassed. You're trying to sneak on public transit for free. And you got mad because they're checking to see if people like you are here. Like, come on, dude. That's how that shit works. But now, yeah, that's what it made me think of.
I don't know if this is what is going on there, but there was a story a little while back, and there was a protest at the time. Cops were cracking down on turnstile jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was a whole big protest about it. And I think somebody got hurt. I can't remember exactly what the story was, but because of that, they decided, no, we shouldn't have cops anywhere on the transit system. If somebody jumps, they're probably poor and needed to. So yeah, just back off. We shouldn't have cops there. That was the last protest they had there.
Oh, Jim just sent me a picture of the Antifa people pouring Gorilla Glue into the thing where you slide your card.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, these guys are domestic terrorists, man. There's no way around it. Like, you kind of can't argue it anymore at this point. I don't know. Just can we acknowledge them for what they are, please? Because that's basically what they are. Anyway. But yeah, I was just wondering if anybody had any context on what was going on, because I didn't really know. I'm done.
Nope. Okay. Monkey, what do you got?
Well, I think most of what I had was about the impeachment. Because I wasn't on Twitter much because I was actually watching the impeachment stuff today. But let me see. What do we have? This chick. Connie Schultz. I don't know what she does. She's a blue check mark.
She's the wife of Sherrod Brown, senator.
Okay. Tonight I watched journalists in our nation's capital roped off and rerouted so that Republican senators who voted for no witnesses in this trial could scurry off without explaining their votes to the American people. If you think this is okay, you no longer believe in America.
Oh my God.
One, that's fucking retarded. I mean, I need to get that part out of the way first. But there are those of us, me, for example, who believe this trial itself is a disgrace to America, and that what's going on with it is a bigger danger than reporters yelling. You do realize they don't have to answer questions just because the press yells at them, right? Plus, I don't know if Miss Sherrod Brown here understands this, but next week the senators actually are going to have a chance to explain their votes on the floor of the Senate. I get it. You don't like the reporters being roped off and all that. But you couldn't have forced them to answer questions anyway. So basically what you're bitching about is meaningless, which so much of what I saw today was. The only other thing that I really saw, I was watching this. I had been watching on C-SPAN, and there was that really long pause after the vote to not have witnesses, between that and then when they voted on the amendments that Schumer.
Mm-hmm.
And C-SPAN, they weren't doing anything. So I switched over to the CBS feed. CBS has this fat little fuck on there who is just mad as fuck at Donald Trump. I don't know his name, but it made me laugh so hard. I actually couldn't breathe for one moment. He is so mad. And I guess I understand it. If I were them and I thought the president had actually done something worthy of being removed and that the republic was in danger, I would probably be upset if it was, okay, look, this is coming down to partisanship. But I don't believe any of these shitbags actually believe that. I really don't. I think that they're just at the point where, and again, guys, this is my thoughts. I'm not saying it's true, but to me, it just seems like they've just latched on to whatever came along, and they're very adamant about it now. But not because they actually believe the bullshit. I have trouble believing they believe the bullshit. But it's so funny watching them get worked up about it. It's beautiful.
I'm looking at the CBS stuff now, and he looks familiar to me. I should know who this guy is.
You got the spiky black hair?
Oh, spiky black hair?
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is a different guy with glasses? No, okay. I'm looking at the wrong guy, then I'll see if I can find him.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but he said at one point, if I was on the next president's team, and this kind of situation came up, I would absolutely advise against him acting like the president. Shut up.
This was CBS, you said?
Yeah. He was as mad as Brian Stelter, man. It was funny as shit. But that's all I had.
All right. Well, we'll get into it a little early. Chat time. So, chat, if you have questions, comments, concerns, complaints, conspiracy theories, if you have thoughts on the impeachment or thoughts on Brexit or thoughts on the excellence that is the Hunt for Red October, please put them in the chat now. If you have questions for us, please put plenty of chat marks after those. If you have statements for us to consider, please put plenty of statement marks after those so we know it's for us and not you conversing amongst yourselves. If you have no idea what I was just talking about, ask your nearby chat buddy and they will explain it to you because our audience is friendly and helpful.
You forgot thoughts on speed dial.
What?
Never mind.
I wish I had thoughts on speed dial. Roger Reynolds says, my lords, have you ever tried Mardi Gras king cake ice cream? No.
That shit sounds bougie as fuck. I want some.
Sounds good.
Sounds fancy. Your boy Pat, Satsu, Scribe, Ranting Monkey. Did you see the vegan that's suing Burger King? I think we talked about that story because they were doing the Impossible Burger on the same grill as a regular burger, and so some of the grease was getting onto it or something. Was that it?
Well, no, there's a news story that came out where Burger King actually made a statement and said that we never promised these burgers were vegan. We just said that they were meatless.
Oh.
Yeah, which is true. They never use the word vegan in any of their advertising.
Huh, okay. Thank you, Cody Fry. Excuse me. Obviously, Satsu's people was Kangs, but were Ranting Monkeys people Kongs? Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Jay Reynolds, have you been following the latest Blizzard fuck up? Are you talking about Warcraft Reforged or Warcraft 3 Reforged? Yes, bits and pieces. I saw somebody put a comparison up of the preview cutscene footage that Blizzard showed off at 2018's BlizzCon, and then what actually ended up in the game, which was no cutscenes.
Oh, they didn't put cutscenes in there?
No, I mean the ones they showed in 18 was close-up cinematic of animated sprites from the game talking, like you saw Arthas having a conversation with Proudmoore and everything. And then and then side by side they have what's actually in the game, and it's just the same kind of thing you would have seen in the original game, where they have the camera's just kind of up above the game sprites, and then they have the little window of the character's face with the mouth moving, and then them speaking the dialogue. And there's nothing to it. There's no animation. There's no camera movement. Nothing dramatic at all. It doesn't even look like a cutscene.
Well, in the original game, it wasn't a cutscene. And look, if that's what they showed off, then yeah, they owe an apology for that.
Yeah,
but I don't understand all the people who are playing Warcraft 3 and upset that they're playing Warcraft 3.
Well, I mean, the description I'm hearing from, and I haven't played the new one yet, but I mean, I played the original. I played the shit out of the original in the old days. People who are fans of the original say that this is a downgrade in performance and quality, which I don't know exactly what that means. They said the UI wasn't improved at all or something, and so it's like, and some of the gameplay doesn't work as well, or I don't know, but people aren't happy about it anyway. It's got a lower rating than Fallout 76 right now.
Y'all bought the same game you already played.
Yeah, just play the original, if they even sell the original anymore. Let's see. X4390247. Red Storm Rising is a much better book than Hunt for Red October. Red Storm Rising, it was okay as a sort of war game scenario kind of thing. I think it was a bit too broad in scope. I was trying to cover all this stuff. The story wasn't very personal. It was very strategy, military stuff. I mean, it wasn't a bad book, but the story of Hunt for Red October, the Cardinal of the Kremlin, the Sum of All Fears, the characters and the personal stories really drove those books much more than just the movements of nations did in Red Storm Rising. At least that's how I see it. That's my opinion. BG says, Scribe Light, thoughts on Red October? Okay, it's overrated. It is not overrated. It's rated exactly where it needs to be by me, which is it's the best movie ever made. So there's nothing to argue. Old Grouchy Gamer, why is it wrong for Trump to investigate Biden, but 3 candidates are allowed to vote to remove Trump?
Well, it's their job.
Yeah, that's part of their mandate as senators. It's not they didn't elect to do that all by themselves. They're trapped to do so. They're bound by their position to participate. So
I do understand that people go, this doesn't make sense, and I get you, but yeah, that's the way things are done.
Yeah. RJ Bansma, Scribe Light, thoughts on Google possibly abandoning Stadia only 2 months after it was launched?
Predictable?
Yeah, predictable and funny. I mean, truth be told, I don't know if any new console could make it these days because Xbox and PS4 have pretty much locked the market.
Stadia offered in theory, the ability to do what the Switch does.
Mm-hmm.
But without having to have any of the games, it's just, in theory, it's a great idea. One, I just don't think we have the technology yet to make it practical.
Obviously not.
They screwed the pooch so badly on it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they would ever think that it would be acceptable to release it in the state that they did, where they're just like, yeah, so this thing is out. It's the greatest thing ever. You can play any game anywhere. Now here's the list of the 5 games you can play when it comes out.
Yep.
It's just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, that's and with that kind of selection, I don't understand why they decided to launch at all.
Yeah, like why even fucking waste your time?
Yeah.
It was like shooting yourself in the foot. That was basically they released the equivalent of the impeachment findings in the game version.
And also the complete absence of physical media. And I understand we're in an age now, Steam and everything else, physical media is not necessary. But for consoles, I don't know. I just think that there's a certain aspect to that, and also they show the examples of people trying to play those games through the cloud, and just how they weren't responsive. Like a guy hit the jump button, and it happened 3 seconds after he hit it. It's like it just doesn't. Yeah, if you don't have the technology to do it, I don't understand how this got out of the quality assurance phase to the point where they'd actually sell it.
Dude, watching the people who got paid to say it was good, like live demo it, and everything go wrong was just. I mean, I felt bad for them because I'm like, man.
Zamgoa, from what I heard, Warcraft 3 Reforged was forcefully updated over the original Warcraft 3 without consumer consent. Oh, so if you had like the Blizzard account launcher thing, you have to.
Bullshit.
If that's true, that is total bullshit.
Oh, that is bullshit.
Especially after they just released World of Warcraft Classic. Like you can have 2 different versions of the game, like the old one if you want to play that, and the current one. That's nonsense. If you bought Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos or whatever, that should be the game you have. Reforged is a different game. That's nonsense. Motto Winter, oh lords, would you try an enchilada con carne with some French whiskey to drink? French whiskey? I don't know. Does it make me want to surrender?
Does it come wrapped in a white flag?
It's in a dirty glass.
That Satsu's was better. Mine was lame. That was good. That was a good one. Sure, why not? Celtic Mandalore, what is better, a story more about a world, nation, massive scale politics, etc., or personal stories with hints or in-game side material about the world at large? I think what you need is the first book series that comes to mind that I think does this exceptionally well is the World War series by Harry Turtledove, and that's a guy's real name. It's true. He tells a story about how aliens invade the Earth during World War II and how all these nations have to react to this situation. But he centers a couple of key characters in each country or situation of note, and you follow those characters as the avatars for the readers as they move through that part of the world at that time in history and the experience of what goes on there, the politics of Russia dealing with this versus the politics of America dealing with this. And so you have these key signature characters you get to know very well, and how their stories sort of reflect the experience of the nation as an individual person. That's how you kind of bring big movements of nations down to a character level on a personal story, but still through their eyes show the shifting of the tectonic plates of nations and global politics. That's what's really good. Red Storm Rising didn't do that so much. Tom Clancy got much better with that in his later books, especially Some of All Fears. So that's what I would say is you have to have a combination of that. Because otherwise, if it's just like Nation X does this and Nation Y does that, you're kind of reading a dry history book at that stage of the game.
Yeah, I'm always going to go for personal stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell global spanning stories, but you have to have someone or a few someones anchoring the reader through those events. It can't just be referential stuff. I mean, I'm sure there is a way, and I'm sure there are books that do it where it's a narrative telling back and forth, kind of like a history book, sort of like a Tolkien kind of thing about the movements of things. But and there's ways to do that effectively as well. But personally, there's got to be something there for me to latch onto as a reader, and usually it's a good character. Check your logic. Isn't it weird that Jerry Nadler sounds so close to Jerry Mathers? No. Actually, he couldn't be there today because he had to go see his wife who's got cancer. So he had to he was there in absentia, or had a proxy voting for him, I believe.
Oh.
Mr. Scott, if you were kicked out of your state and could relocate to any state or U.S. territory of your choice, where would you move to?
Probably Virginia. I like it there.
Maine, because that's where all the monsters are, says Stephen King. Sure. Satsu?
Somewhere that ain't Ohio.
Actually, I'll say Louisiana because the food, but only if I could control the climate and turn it down 17,000 degrees. Because fuck, that place is humid and hot in the summer, and I hate it.
It's a swamp. What do you expect?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I want to have control over the weather. If I can have control over the weather, I'll pick Louisiana. Let's see. Crazy Man 1984. What's your favorite food dish for cold weather? For cold
Chili.
weather. That's a good one. Yeah.
Well-made chili.
Actually, no, my dad's beef stew. I forget. It's one of those things with like a family recipe thing, but he makes this beef stew with fresh cut carrots and potatoes and stew meat and the whole 9 yards. And it's so good. And it's just like, it's nothing but like bulk calories, and it's so yummy on a cold day. I do that.
Usually my ham and bean soup.
Gulf City Peterbilt says Volvos are for commies. You know, they're the safest car on the road.
Oh yeah.
There was I was watching this movie one time with my friend. I believe it was called House of the Devil, right? And it was this horror movie that was set in the 1980s because it is very difficult to set horror movies in the modern times given the story-breaking elements of cell phones. So set in the 1980s, and at one point, the characters are driving in a Volvo towards the house of the movie's title, if I remember correctly. And I say, as I'm sitting there watching with my friend, I turned to him and I said, you know, Volvos are the safest car on the road. And then I swear to God, not a beat later, the one character in the seat turns to the other character and says, you know, Volvo's the safest car on the road. It was so fucking creepy, but we laughed our asses off. It was amazing. Let's see. Bert and Ernie says stew meat. That's what my dad calls, the cut. And now my lights are flickering again. God damn it. So if my internet starts going, guys, I don't know. I just got to get through the next 20 minutes. Stew meat. Yeah, that's what my dad calls the kind of meat you put into a stew. I don't know if that's actually the official name. That's just what I grew up on him calling it. So it's called something else. I don't know.
You can actually buy stew meat.
Yeah. I assumed that's one of those things where it's like, is it a name of something or is it Wisconsin slang for something? Because my dad would use a lot of Wisconsin-isms because he's from Milwaukee as I was growing up.
Usually it's just a cut of meat. It's like tiny little, it's the stuff they cut off from other pieces. Mm-hmm. So when they cut off a piece to trim a steak or trim a roast or whatever, you get all these little tiny pieces that are around. Yeah, that's usually your stew meat.
RJ Bandsma says, Ram was writing something very slowly. Friend asked, why are you writing so slowly? Ram said, I'm writing to my 6-year-old son. He can't read very fast. But Celtic Mandalore, how would you make a modern horror story without removing any modern elements? That is, the $1 zillion question, because in most movies that I see these days that take place in the modern times, they have to find some story mechanism to either delete the technology from having a role or destroying it. I remember I watched the remake of I Spit on Your Grave. And within the first 10 minutes of the movie, the character accidentally drops her cell phone in the toilet. Because we have to have, and I've made this challenge to people before, and I know there's a couple of answers out there, but the challenge is come up with a horror movie plot line wherein these elements are not a part or a main thrust of the plot. You cannot use darkness. You cannot use isolation from the rest of civilization. Because, cabin in the woods kind of stuff, right? It's night. You're alone in the woods kind of. If you can write a horror movie that eliminates those things. And one really good answer is The Exorcist, because they're in the middle of Washington, D.C., and there's scary shit going on and tension going on, even in broad daylight. And it's one of those rare instances where somebody comes up with a horror movie plot line that doesn't require those elements. Now, I'm not talking about you can't have a movie where night happens or something. I was talking about that the primary elements driving the scares depends on darkness and or isolation from the rest of the world. Let's see. Roger Reynolds, the movie Unfriended did it pretty well. Wait, isn't Unfriended all about? Didn't it all take place on the internet?
I think so.
Not familiar.
I mean, wasn't like the main crux of that dealing with internet stuff or ghosts? Anyway, Daniel Fulman, Scribe, any updates on your downstairs neighbors? I haven't heard a thing, seen anything since the last time I talked about it. So if they're doing anything goofy down there, it just hasn't blown up yet. That's about it. Your original stream says Scribe Light, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Yeah, there you go. I mean, like a natural threat, like a plague or something. Yeah, it's The Birds. Now I heard I mentioned this a while back, and somebody said The Quiet Place. And I'm like, yeah, except that the movie basically takes place after civilization's fallen apart, and you have to be isolated away somewhere in order to survive, which is kind of a twist on the usual thing. It's like the isolation is actually kind of a tool and not a threat. I'm not saying The Quiet Place plotline is necessarily bad, even though there were a lot of inconsistencies in how the rules of that world worked. Because it's like, we have to be very quiet. We can't make any noise or anything else. And then there's scenes where they're just like sitting in a living room making noise all the time. Like, the creatures are going to hear you, aren't they? That's the other thing too. In a horror movie or most any movie that deals with something supernatural or something unusual, your rules have to be consistent. As long as your rules are consistent and logical for the rule set you've created, a movie can work. If you start not caring about your rules in different places and create plot holes, you've done yourself a disservice. Let's see. Taz says Jaws was a great horror movie. Yes, there's a good one. Like I said, natural threats are always good because those don't care about isolation or darkness to threaten people. So animal threats or disease threats, things like that, those can work.
Or Jews.
What flavor of juice?
I feel like you could make a great scary movie for the alt-right with nothing but Jews as the monsters. Nobody wants to go with that one.
The comments of some Lords of the Night do not necessarily reflect the comments or thoughts of other Lords of the Night, just so you know.
They're scared of Jews, man. I'm just
Original Shroom says the twisted ending of A Boy and His Dog with Don Johnson. Yeah, I mean, Boy and His Dog, great movie. I got a copy of it somewhere around here. Grand inspiration for things like Fallout and Wasteland and everything else. Great movie. Don Johnson is like practically a baby. There's so many things if you watch that movie now, you say, that's where that came from for, Fallout. I don't know if it's a horror movie per se. It's a dark comedy. And it's a post-apocalyptic movie. But yeah, the ending of the end. I won't say what the ending is, but the ending is it's twisted. That's for sure. Mr. Scott says they live too. Jews. Oh God. No. Cannibal Caretaker, hobo with a shotgun. I wouldn't call that. That wasn't a horror movie, but
I recently saw that movie. It is actually hilarious.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Grizzle McThornbody, the first Omen movie. Yes, like The Exorcist, you have an evil child. Evil child can transcend the whole rules of civilization and isolation.
Oh, well, I can make a movie right now then.
There you go. What would we call it?
I think simply calling it Squeedus is scary enough.
Squeedus. Yes.
The Legend of the Squeedus.
Ebony Williams, thoughts on mainstream music? Very little of it interests me. Maybe just because I'm old now. I hear the latest song from, I don't know. Who do the kids like these days? Huh? Who's big amongst the kids? Thanks, Cody Fry. The Tax Collector, starring Jeff Goldblum as the titular monster. Now, see, I always thought Jeff Goldblum's creepiest role was Mr. Frost. If you guys haven't seen Mr. Frost, I don't know if it's aged well, and the latter part of the film kind of but the first like 15, 20 minutes of that movie, Jeff Goldblum is the most menacing fucking thing on the planet. It's great. I mean, now he's more known for like sort of comedic roles and stuff like that, but Mr. Frost is fucking creepy. Functional. No Country for Old Men. I mean, the villain in that movie was very, very good. I don't know if I'd call it a horror movie per se, but yeah. Was it Sugar, however you say his last name? Yeah, that was a very, the Coen brother movies are always really interesting, and that character was a very good villain. He kind of reminded me of the Joker in a way, or Heath Ledger's Joker, because he just kind of did things, and there wasn't really any sort of rhyme or reason to them. I mean, there was kind of a rhyme or reason. You didn't want to speak incorrectly around him. He hated people who misused the language, and he let people live if they said things correctly. It was kind of weird, but Ebony Williams, Jurassic Park. Yeah, again, animal threats. Movies with animal threats can, of course, Jurassic Park required a certain amount of isolation from civilization. And some of the best stuff in there were the scenes that took place at night. But yeah, animal threats can happen any time of day. Zombie threats as well. Those aren't really, I mean, they kind of create isolation usually because the world's already ended. But Zio Gold, which actor do you think could be the new Crypt Keeper? Is Cassier not around anymore?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Is she an actor?
She didn't even got dressed up.
Dr. No, Scribe Light, what will happen to the UK now that they left the EU? Well, depending on who you ask, either it's going to be the end of all economic civilization for the UK, or as a result, Ireland and Scotland will become their own countries again, or not much will change. I don't know. RJ Band, Scribe Light, would you watch a horror film about the DNC? I read a horror film about the DNC where they are having an internal or had an internal war of racism, saying the leadership needed to change because the people in charge were too white and the lady in charge was racist, even though when she got the job, she had the most diverse, in that sense, staff that you'd ever had before, except that one lady quit after 2 months, not because her boss was racist, because Kamala Harris said, hey, you want to work on my campaign? And so she went and did that and is probably regretting it now, but there you go. Formerly Rod Line, Chud, cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. Yes, Chud. Oh, Chud. The movie that creeped me, funny that I say that creeped me out when I was a kid was Creeps. The Creeps. It was like these little slug things that would jump into your mouth and take over your body. I thought slugs were disgusting. Still do. There was this one movie, it's called The Children, and this was something they played on like Tuesday night chillers or whatever on USA Up All Night.
Mm-hmm.
And all it was, and I'll never forget this because it was the most simple gimmick that for whatever reason creeped the fuck out of me. These children in a school bus or something got exposed to, toxic chemicals or whatever. And then they wandered around going to people and their fingernails were all black. And all you'd see is this POV shot of these little children with black fingernails reaching towards the camera. And then these screams, and you just didn't know what they did to them, but like their whole bodies were mangled or whatever. And it happened off screen. And that, for some reason, scared the absolute shit out of me when I was a kid. I thought that was so creepy. Creepy little children. Ew. Jay Reynolds says, The Hidden was good. Yeah, The Hidden was all right. Dr. No, Scribe Light, John Carpenter's The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing was one of my favorite horror movies. Favorite monster movies, too. I love that movie. That and the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956, black and white. The 79 remake was not bad if you can get past the hairdos and some of the bad lighting effects and things. But they're actually going to make, apparently they're making they're making a remake of The Thing, but they're sticking to the original novel of The Thing, which was called Who Goes There? And that's if they do a version based on the novel and not what Carpenter adapted it to, that's going to be odd because there's actually just a monster kind of thing, and it's hard to explain. RJ Bands with Scribe, ever watched Days of Thunder and Talladega Nights? I saw Days of Thunder many years ago. That was actually the film that Tom Cruise met Nicole Kidman before they started dating and got married.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen Days of Thunder in years, and Talladega Nights, I don't think I've ever seen Talladega Nights.
I love Talladega Nights. It's stupid as hell, but I love it.
Satsu?
I don't think I've seen either one of those movies all the way through.
All right. Dr. No Scribelight, have you seen the original 1954 Godzilla movie? Do you mean the original Toho movie, or do you mean the re-edited American version with Raymond Burr inserted into certain scenes? Gojira, because I've seen both. I think, if I remember correctly, a friend of mine had the Super Duper Deluxe version on DVD that had both versions on there. And I think at one point or another I watched both. One with subtitles, obviously, because I don't know any other languages except for like a little German. I know a little German. He's sitting over there. Oh, if you know what reference what movie that was referencing, you get a gold star. Check your logic. Perry Mason was in Godzilla. Raymond Burr was in the American cut of Godzilla. It's true. Because the American companies had to find some way to anchor the movie with an American to make American audiences care, because otherwise it was going to be just one long dubbed movie.
So it was racist.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Or just assuming the distaste of American audiences for a purely foreign film. Crappy Fisherman. I saw the movie Legend with my dad when I was 7. It kept me awake until I was about 12. I still remember those horns. Tim Curry's devil in that was great. The makeup was amazing and creepy as hell. That whole movie was just felt like uncomfortable. The whole movie made me feel uncomfortable when I was a kid. The goblin shooting the dart at the unicorn and all. All I remember is just being like grossed out by that movie. Thank you, Cryptic. Send me DMs for hair toe pics. No.
Pass.
No. Although I think I'm real had a great line. Well, great is in the eye of the beholder. He said, thoughts sending foot pictures or pics of their feet should be called footage. And I was like, oh, but RJ Bandsman, Scribe Light, does Monkey know a redhead midget?
I don't think I know any midgets.
Did you ever contact Left Cheek and Right Cheek?
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to reach out to them to see if you could get them on the show sometime. Check your logic. Did you see today was Daniel Tammet's birthday? If you know who that is, I don't. Those of you that said top secret in reference to the I know a little German, he's sitting over there. Congratulations, you get a gold star. And I think with the time, that's going to take us to the top of the hour, and thus, guys, the end of the show. Guys, as always, thank you so much for coming out and joining us, participating as you do. You guys are responsible for half of this show. You are collectively the fourth regular Lord of the Night, sort of like the fifth Beatle, sort of. Kind of collectively, you're like a hive mind. You're sort of like Devastator in the Transformers. You are one being made up of many parts.
Or for all the nerds, Mikasa from Railgun.
Sure. And I'll form the head. Straight Sith male. Coward? Why am I a coward?
What?
I don't know. He's a scribe-like coward. What did I back down from? What? Because legend made me uncomfortable as a child.
He must have remembered that baby you didn't kick.
I guess. Anyway, whatever that means. I'm gonna wonder. It's a mystery. Remember, guys, tomorrow night, per usual, will be on Monkey's channel at the usual time. Also, remember, over on 2 Cents Plus, shortly after this show, you can watch Monkey and Satsu. And is Sinatra joining you or anybody else?
Sin should be there.
Sinatra. Sinatra says, playing Dark Souls 2, where everybody dies over and over and over again for your entertainment. Let's see. Anything else to plug before we go?
Nope.
All right. Well, chat, thank you for joining us. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though our audience is the best behaved in the whole of the internet. Everybody who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. And it'll all go towards horrible things I'll put in my body, like goldfish and Jack Daniels. And with that, Monkey, Satsu, thank you for joining me as always.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, your lives make us sad, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Fuck off.
And I'm taking out my copy of Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, the romance and sexual sorcery of sadomasochism. And today's secret word is swagged.
Swagged?
SWAGGED.
All right.
Got swag.
So you got swagged. I'm hoping I didn't just say something nasty, but it's possible.